In this video, we'll go through the process of exporting out our texture maps from Photoshop and applying them onto our model in Maya. So you can see right now I have my M1 gun, which has the textures all assigned. You can see here, so it's using a number of different texture maps that you can see right now. So, in Photoshop, just going to make a quick few points about this. Make sure that when you're creating all your textures, you have them all under one Photoshop document or PSD document, which would be your master file essentially. Reason being is because then we can see right now that I have 4 folders which house my roughness, metallic, and norm maps. The reason why you want like a master file is, for instance, if you're working on a project or working with a client or for a games company, for instance, you may need to make changes to your albedo, roughness, or metallic map. So, for instance, if I had a client right now who look at this and say, okay, it looks pretty good, but you know, I think the colors need to be a bit more desaturated, or you know, I want those scratches or wood or stains to kind of come up a little bit, so I can go back to Photoshop to the master file and make the adjustments if need be, and say, hey, Steve, you know, do you like that? That should be okay for now. So yeah, it's always good to have a master file with everything there, because now what we can do is we can start exporting all these out. So for instance, make sure that your UV map is turned off because we don't want to see it in our model. Turn on your albedo map here. So again, I've got them on folders. Albedo map is ready to go. And before we save it out as a target, one thing I might need to do is I might need to change the size of this texture file. So for instance, if I go to image size under image, change this to pixels, you'll see that this is now a 4096, which is a 4K texture map. Now for this gun, I don't think a 4K texture map is appropriate, so I need to kind of downsize just to kind of make it a bit more appropriate. So for instance, I might go for say like a 2048 map, then press OK just to kind of resize the whole document. Again, that's why you always work in a high file size, because if we took a low one, let's say sub HD, and try to blow it up to say a 2K texture map, it's going to look pixelated and blurry. So always work high and go low, which I think I've mentioned before. So yeah, got my albedo map up. Now I'm ready to go. So I'll go to File, Save As, and then I'm going to change it from a PSD Photoshop document to a Targa. The reason why I won't use Targa is because a lot of game engines use Targa file formats. I mean, you can use, say, JPEGs, for instance, but they're not as high quality as Targas. It's more appropriate to use Targas because it's more industry standard to do so. Make sure to name it something appropriate. So right now, I'll call it Albedo Test. I'm just going to save over the one that I've already created. Save. Replace it. And then we can choose the resolution, so bits per pixel. We'll keep it at 24 because it's a nice middle ground. Then press OK. And you do the same with the reference map as well. So turn the reference map on. File, Save As, change it from a Photoshop document to a Targa document, and you save it out as roughness, then metallic, then normal map. So once you've done that, we can go back to Photoshop, Maya. And what we'll do is I'm going to quickly duplicate this and show you the process of applying a new material. So let's quickly put the existing one on really quick. So yeah, most likely you'll have a model like this, which has no text on it whatsoever. So now we need to go through creating a shader for it. So make sure your model is selected. If you hold on the right mouse button, you can go down to the bottom, the fourth from the bottom, which is Assign New Material. And this brings you up a list of shaders. Shaders pretty much house all the information about, say, textures or other information that you've applied to this particular model. The one that we're using in Maya is called Stingray PBS because it's the only physically based rendering, or in this case, physically based shading shader in Maya. So we click on that. Oh, and I think I'm having a few bugs at the moment with Maya. But the Stingray shader should appear in your attribute editor. If not, if you go to your Hypershade, which is this blue icon here, the Hypershade essentially houses all of the shaders that you have in Maya, so you can rename them and see what there is, and you can actually apply them as well. So for instance, the original shader, I can just click and drag onto that model there. So I'm going to turn this off really quick. So one thing I might want to do is I might want to rename this as well. So I might call this M1 underscore example, because again it is good to use naming conventions. So we'll turn on the attributes a little bit later. If you scroll down to textures, it says color map, norm map, metallic map, and roughness map. I want to click on the color map, the little checkered icon right there. Click on this. This allows us to load in our textures. Where it says image name, click on the folder icon, and just load in your albedo map. And then we can do the same for the normal map as well. Metallic. And roughness map. So at the moment we still can't see it. So what we need to do is make sure we turn on use color map, norm map, metallic, and roughness map. And at default, you won't have the textured shader on. So just above, you'll see this little light bulb. To the left of it, there's this little icon here. Turn that on. That showcases your textures in Maya. So that's how to actually showcase your textures within Maya.